Hello and welcome to Progressive Education Society's Modern College of Pharmacy, Nigri, Pune. In the subject Pharmacognosy and Phytopharmaceuticals for SY Pharm. In this lecture, we will have a look at the details of morphology as well as microscopy of cinnamon bark. Myself, Dr. Bhushan Pimple. Cinnamon is commonly known as Kalmi Dalchini, or in English it is well known as Ceylon cinnamon. These are the dried inner barks of the stem, that is cinnamon zeylanicum bloom, belonging to family Lauraceae. It is also well known scientifically as cinnamon verum trussel. That means this is the biological source. The plant's Latin name is Cinnamon zeylanicum, and these are dried bark, but these are dried inner bark. Inner barks are the part of the plant from the surface of which the external outer uh, cork is taken out. Cork means rough dead cells. Actually the entire bark is dead cell, but cork is more protective in nature, and even that has been scrapped off. So the remaining portion is called as inner bark. Major chemical constituents of this bark are cinnamic aldehyde, eugenol, pinene, philandrine, and caryophyllene. These plant chemicals are similar to that of clove. Mostly it is used as flavoring agent in pharmaceutical formulations as well as certain culinary purposes or sweets even. Even it can be used as a sweetening agent in most of the candies or syrups used in the Western world. It has mild astringent property. Now astringent means it precipitates the protein. The sensation that we get after drinking a strong tea or even after consuming amla, our oral mucosa, we feel stretchiness in it. That property is called as astringent. It is antiseptic. The oil obtained from this bark is antiseptic in nature, and more widely, it is used in traditional systems of medicine like Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and all as a mild hypoglycemic agent. That means it reduces the blood glucose level to normal or beyond the normal. That is mild hypoglycemic. Then, looking about the morphology of this bark, the color externally it is yellowish brown in color or sometimes reddish brown, and internally it is dark brown. Now I am not mistaken here, but it is the right way. Externally it is yellowish brown because of absence of the external bark, and inner bark it shows yellowish brown color from the periphery, whereas as you go towards the center it shows a dark brown color. Odor, it is very aromatic and pleasant. Taste is sweet followed by warmth. That means because of the presence of eugenol or volatile oil present in it, it gives slight burning sensation or warm feeling after consumption. But initially it is sweet. That is the reason why it is used as a sweetening agent. Generally, the size varies when it is exported directly from the farmers to different countries. The entire bark length is around 1 meter, that is 100 centimeter, but this is very difficult to handle. So the time it reaches that retailer, it has been broken down, or for convenience purpose it has been broken down into 5 to 6 inch length, that is approximately, it is very commonly called as cigar length as far as cinnamon bark is concerned. The diameter of this bark is roughly around 6 to 10 mm, and thickness of the bark varies from 0.25 to zero point 0.5 millimeter. Shape is cylindrical and not exactly the cylinder, but it turns from both the end or from one end, and this turning is called as quill. It appears to be like a quill. You might have seen paper quilling. Very similarly, a quill can be found. Now, you will wonder why, how can a plant show quilling or the bark show quilling? Now, these shapes are obtained after drying the bark. The moment it is taken out of the plant, it is similar to a semicircle or slightly circular in shape. But if you dry it, since the inner part has more and more amount of moisture, so the moisture goes off and the bark slowly, as the moisture goes on, the bark slowly turns inside or tries to quill inside from the inner side. Now this quilling can be of different types. Single quill, as you can see in this picture, single quill means it is turning one above the other, a spiral is formed. It can also be a double quill. Double quill means here it is trying to turn inside from both the ends. Both the ends are getting turned towards the center. This is called as double quill. So generally there are only two, single and double quill, in which the bark gets its shape after drying. And there is one more called as compound quill. Now compound quill cannot be formed by drying, but it is manually made just to reduce the space during transportation or during storage purpose. That means a larger cylinder or the quill is inserted manually into a smaller quill is inserted into a larger quill, so that it takes less space during transportation and storage. So these are the forms in which cinnamon bark appears in the market. So you can identify cinnamon bark and try to differentiate it from another bark called as cassia bark. Cassia bark, in a simple grocery shop, we get it in the form of dalchini. Now that is dark brown in color. Dalchini is different and the cinnamon bark is different. This is more sweeter and dalchini is more spicier. Botanically also they vary. Now, how to take a section? Take the cylinders, but make sure that these cylinders are soaked in water for at least 48 hours. Minimum 24 to 48 hours are required for proper softening of these barks, because those are very thick and they contain very hard material. So after soaking for 48 hours or 2 to 3 days, you can cut it with the help of a razor, but your razor should pass only in this direction to get the transverse section. Transverse means the blade direction should be perpendicular to that of the bark. Once you take the section, your sections can be of different shapes. Not necessarily always a quill will produce a quill shape. Sometimes you may get cut or broken sections. So it can be of BCD, EF or G kind. So no matter, in as far as a detailed anatomy of the plant is concerned, you can choose any of these shapes. Do not always try to go for the single quill, that is this or this kind of shape. You can even continue your practical with this shape or this shape or even this shape. Okay. Now, once you observe, take the TS and observe under the microscope, there are different staining agents. Like we have discussed in the earlier videos, one of the dye is fluoroglucinol HCl. Now this fluoroglucinol HCl, it gives pink color wherever lignin is present. That means it specifically goes and binds with lignin and produces pink color. Now you can see here the pink color is restricted to this area that is called as pericycle. Pericycle means peripheral region. This pericycle, it is made up of stone cell layer. That means a layer of many stone cells is present in this case. Stone cells are the cells, those are dead, and they provide mechanical support or rigidity to the bark. These are dead cell but lignified. They are lignified, so they can be stained pink with fluoroglucinol HCl. Now in this video I have not shown the staining method, how to stain them, how to wash them, because that will be exactly similar to our previous videos. Next is secondary phloem region. So the first region was pericycle, which was made up of stone cell layer, and the second region is of secondary phloem. Now why is it called as secondary phloem is because now initially this phloem was present inside the plant, that means in the living part of the plant, but since the plant has grown in a lateral direction, transverse direction, आडवी growth झालेली आहे प्लांटची. Now in this case the central part has pushed this phloem towards the periphery. That means this phloem was initially functioning, that is it was conducting food material, but now it has been pushed into the bark, and you know entire bark is a dead tissue. So this is called as secondary. That means you can remember in this way that this phloem is no longer functioning now. It is retired. This is secondary phloem. The secondary phloem region shows medullary rays. Medullary rays are long strips. We will have a look at them in detail in the next few slides. Then oil cells. Oil cells are the cells or the glands that produce volatile oil, and because of these oils the bark has fragrant or aromatic odor. So these are the only diagnostic features to identify the plant or microscopy of the. Next we'll go in details about the stone layer, stone cell layer. If you do not stain the section and just take a section, wash it thoroughly with water and then mount it on the slide and observe under microscope at 40x objective and 10x eyepiece, you will get this kind of view. That means you can see here the stone cells. These are the stone cells. The entire, this is the layer of stone cell, but prominently you can see here the stone cells. They appear very similar to that of a tire tube which has been compressed from all the sides. Now here the stone cells, they do not have cytoplasm. You can see here it is dried off, or even there is absence of cytoplasm. Entire cell is made up of thick layer of cell wall. Cell wall is predominant here. This is non-stained, unstained section of cinnamon bark. Even somewhere you can find circular portion, very fine or thin circles or small circles. These circles are called as starch grains. The starch grains, actually they are present slightly above the stone cell layer, but sometimes you may get it in the section. The purpose of stone cell is to provide rigid mechanical support or protection to the plant. They are totally dead. You can see here a single stone cell. I have zoomed it and you can see the stone cell, the periphery, and again this is unlignified. Oh, sorry, unstained. Next, after staining, once you stain it with, the dye is fluoroglucinol HCl. It stains specifically the stone cells into pink color. So you can make out which are the stone cells and which are not. The secondary fluid shows the presence of lignified phloem fibers. You can see here, uh, this particular image is taken at 10x objective and 10x eyepiece, whereas this has been zoomed further by using 40x objective and 10x eyepiece. So you can see here the red color cells which have been highlighted by yellow rings, these are called as phloem fibers. Now what is the function of phloem fiber? Fibers are always providing flexible mechanical support. Remember, stone cells are providing rigid mechanical support, whereas all the fibers are providing flexible but mechanical support. Now, these are always in line or they are parallel to the phloem. Wherever phloem vessels are there, around the phloem vessel is actually conducting the food material, and adjoining to this vessel, just assume a flexible pipe. If you want to carry water from lower floor to upper floor with the help of a flexible pipe, it will be very difficult. The pipe will not be able to stand firmly, so the pipe will bend down. Now this pipe is phloem vessel which is actually conducting the food. If you want the pipe to stand firmly erect, in that case you can use a stick and you can tie the pipe to the stick, then the pipe can stand firmly and it can transport the water from lower floor to upper floor. Similarly, here also nature has provided phloem fibers to the phloem vessel. Phloem fiber acts like a stick and phloem vessels act like a flexible pipes. These phloem fibers are also lignified, so they can be observed by staining with fluoroglycinol HCl. Next is phloem parenchyma. The function of any parenchyma in the plant is storage, storage, storage. That means it is going to store whatever the phloem is conducting. Now in this case, phloem is conducting food material. So the job of these phloem parenchyma is to store food material in the form of starch. Next, medullary rays. Medullary rays are again the pipes, or you can say tributaries, or um, bifurcations of a large pipe, but they are moving in the transverse direction. Transverse direction means if the phloem is going on in the upright direction from lower to the upper or upper to the lower direction in the straight direction, the medullary rays will go in perpendicular direction. They are providing, the medullary rays are providing food material to the lateral regions of the plant. Assume the plant is of very large diameter. Suppose in this case it is around 1 centimeter diameter. So in that case, the peripheral region needs food supply and phloem is passing only through the center. So from center to periphery, if you want to conduct food material, there should be horizontal pipes located. So these horizontal pipes are nothing but medullary rays. Always medullary rays are perpendicular to phloem or xylem. So here in this case you can find them arranged in definite longitudinal pattern. Here all the cells are, we have taken a transverse section, but medullary rays in the same transverse section, medullary rays appears to be longitudinally cut along with their length. So they appear elongated. This pattern of cells is also called as radially elongation. Radial elongation means elongation is along the radius. Whereas these cells, these have elongation along the tangent. They are called as tangentially elongated cells. The last part in this is oil cells. Now, oil glands, as we have mentioned earlier, their job is to secrete volatile oil and to conduct volatile oil. So, these are the large glands which are conducting volatile oil. So, now I have not used the TS which shows the staining of the oil, but if you want to stain the oil cells or oil glands, you can make use of Sudan Red 3. This is the dye, Sudan Red 3, that specifically goes and attaches the oil globule. We have used Sudan Red 3 for staining cuticle in Datura and etc. The same dye can be used here.